What if everything we were taught about emptiness and attachment was wrong? Sometimes confusion springs from even good-hearted attempts to simplify the Buddha's teachings, such as the notion that all suffering comes from attachment. And isn't that an interesting way of spelling it, folks? And that emptiness makes of attachment an absurdity. How ironic is it that such gross oversimplifications stem from not understanding the Buddha's most fundamental teaching of the fourth noble truth. The path of liberation is eightfold. Kevin Hayes, my friend, to you I send such a psychic hug. For while, yes, the first fold is the right view supporting letting go, the second fold is the right aspiration of wishing love. 50% of this eightfold path pertains to loving kindness, and 75% of that pertains to kindness of communication, conduct, and commerce. In light of the fact that all healthy vertebrate life forms are literally wired for empathy, even when one fails to throw in a vowel. There, that's much prettier, don't you think? In light of the fact that all healthy vertebrate life forms are literally wired for empathy through the anterior cingulate gyrus a couple of inches behind the forehead. Wow, tonight is a vowel-free evening, isn't it, folks? Perhaps now is the time to re-examine our understanding of emptiness. Those who travel the path of yang, who think it's a marvelous idea to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, tend to embrace a rigidly literalist view of emptiness. That's not unique. Anyone traversing the path of rigidity is going to be prone to literalism. But life is nuanced, is it not? However, those of us on the path of yin who value being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind are comfortable with the idea that many ideas are figurative. The Buddha's teachings of birthlessness, selflessness, deathlessness, and emptiness, by the way, that sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? Only makes sense when viewed through the lens of metaphor. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation can now feel as non-graspable as a vast, open void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful, cloudless morn, which, although could seem quite tantalizing to the eye, is rather non-graspable to the hand. What is the litmus test of our practice of mindfulness and meditation? The highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Imagine, if you will, you're standing before a bookcase that has more bookcase than books. Maybe you have 7 or 8 books gathered on one shelf, and they just keep tipping over. So to keep them from tipping over further, you put something heavy at one end of the books and something heavy at the other end of the books. That holds them up. I call them bookends. So what I like to do is use simple recitations that help us to exercise three-quarters of the Eightfold Path before and after we practice the seventh and eighth folds of the Eightfold Path, mindfulness and meditation. So before we practice mindfulness and meditation, we play with some recitations that just remind us of the rest of the path. We're going to begin by training in right aspirations and right views, second, first, and sixth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. But first, I'm going to perfectionistically adjust the color, because why wouldn't I? What follows is not a prayer to real or imagined celestial entities, but merely words that we use to guide our intention. We're going to play with two versions of the same set of ideas. This first version is rather literal, and we're going to set it to a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee. Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Consider for a moment these three nouns. They are so useful to the traveling to the Buddha's path that over the centuries they earned the metaphoric nickname of the three wish-fulfilling jewels, kind of like Aladdin's lamp. We're now going to play with the same set of ideas, this time we're using wording that is more figurative and more concise. Let's recite it together 3 times. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. And now we're ready to meditate. Meditation is funny, and it's known by so many names. It's the same exercise, but with so many names. We could call it mindfulness and meditation, sati pasati, chan, dhyana, proto-zen, mahamudra, mahasandhi, anti-yoga, dzogchen, and treksha. But they are all the same things, regardless of the blathering of elitists. And oh yeah, by the way, some people lose their shit and say, oh, you need permission to practice these teachings. They are forbidden. They are for special people. And they speak like they are enemies, like they are villains in a Japanese anime. However, the Buddha said, as he lay dying, I have taught with an outstretched arm and an open hand, keeping no secrets. This is found in the Nirvana Sutra. Therefore, if your teacher has secrets, they didn't come from the Buddha. Or in other words, they took the Buddha's teachings and made secrets of them because they are poo-poo heads. So, let us declare our liberation from all poo-poo heads everywhere. As children, our first bicycle most likely came with training wheels, which, although were clunky, got the job done. Similarly, this evening's first meditation exercise is going to be clunky. During our inhalation, we can generate a vertical traction between our head and our tushy as silently and mentally we recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. During our exhalation, we can physically relax while silently and mentally reciting, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. And now together, let's play with this exercise for just a few minutes. What are you to do with your eyes? Some say keep them wide open, some say keep them tightly closed, some say keep them half-mast like your three sheets to the wind. Some say gaze up into the sky, some say gaze forward onto the horizon, some say gaze down into the earth. Listen to your body. Do not fight it. Once again, how ironic would it be if the teaching to meditate with eyes wide open was a metaphor not to practice active concentration, but mere awareness, vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. Now let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. During our perceptive inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, "Notice this," and during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, "Relaxing." By the way, this seems as good a time as any to remind you that we are wired for enlightenment. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are automatically accessing our sympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, the part that correlates with our rib cage. Every time we exhale, we automatically and effortlessly access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower lumbar region as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. So we are already wired for awareness and release. The only job that the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears has is to get out of our own way, to try very hard not to step on our own dick and allow the autonomic nervous system to get on with the business of enlightenment. Allow me to remind you that the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, to simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. By the way, as we mentioned previously, there are many, many synonyms for mindfulness and meditation. Oh, never mind. So, already covered that. Let's continue. Now let us remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, thus reducing our contemplative exercises from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Now that we have reached cruising speed, let us together as a team meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the sands of Tatooine under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check for questions approximately once every 9 minutes or so. Basically, every time we breathe in, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we're wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we're wired to physically relax and mentally release. Now, sometimes our big old supercomputer between our ears tries to interfere with our autonomic nervous system's practice of mindfulness and meditation. So to give our big old brains something to do, during each in-breath, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during each exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window, which I check approximately once every 9 minutes or so. Simply put, as you breathe in, as any of us breathe in, our sympathetic nervous system is wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Therefore, during each inhalation, it can be best to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we're wired for physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, during each exhalation, it could be beneficial to silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Let us seal this practice with our 2 concluding chants. The first of 2 will remind us that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th folds of the Buddhist path are all about kind ethics. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. The final chant will remind us that the right view and right intentions are the 1st and 2nd folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately, whoops, did it again. Let's see here. In approximately, let's see, 7, 6, in approximately 11.25 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.